Hi everyone, and welcome to another review. This review is going to serve as an introduction to yet another house, as well as a review of the first fragrance that I tried by them. The house is called Signature Fragrances. They are out of London, England. They launched, I believe, in 2014. And the fragrance that I want to review is called, I would hold it up to the camera, except the writing is quite small on the sample, so you won't be able to read it. I can barely read it. The fragrance is called Odd Rush. Odd Rush is a 2014 release by Signature Fragrances, like I said, out of London, England. Their aim is the pursuit of uniqueness and the garnering of confidence through the use of an iconic accessory, which, of course, in their case is fragrance. And what better iconic accessory could you possibly have other than a great scent, right? So, the notes in Odd Rush, which for whatever reason I keep wanting to call Oud Rush when I was writing this and when I was looking at it, and then I thought, oh, there's no oud in this. Why do I want to call this Oud Rush? It's Odd Rush. Anyway, it starts with O and ends with D. It doesn't matter, right? Yeah, of course it does. So, it's not oud at all. It's not odd either, but it's called Odd Rush. So we have notes of peach, apricot, black currant, raspberry, mango, coconut, and bergamot. Middle notes of mandarin orange, carnation, cinnamon, jasmine, geranium, and lily of the valley. And base notes of cinnamon, benzoin, tonka bean, amber, musk, and patchouli. So before I get into what it smells like, let me emphasize how strong the fragrances are. They are very, very pungent. In fact, here's the box that they sent me samples in. And by the way, lovely box. Almost feels like wood, but it has like this sort of velour covering on it. And I don't know if you can see where it says signature up here in fragrances, and it's covered in, it has this little satin sort of coffer like thing, and up here you can see what it says. Your perfume has the right to be smelt by others. And that's a quote from Yinka Adeshina. Yinka Adeshina, I believe, is one of the founders and possibly the perfumers of the line. I'm not quite sure who actually put together the perfumes, but I believe she's one of the two owners. So, your perfume has the right to be smelled, and if you wear this, I think you will be smelled. It is quite pungent. I say somewhere in my review, I forgot exactly where it was, this is not an EDT, EDP continuum oil, alcohol-based fragrance. This is an oil that probably has the concentration of something like a parfum or an extrait. So think about that strong. And it's sort of misleading to say extrait too, because extraits sometimes sit very close to the skin. You think very concentrated, very powerful. Not necessarily. If you try sometimes like a Guerlain extrait or something, you'll find that they're very, very almost skin sense, surprisingly. This is not. This has some throw, has some sillage, and lasts a good long time. So, a short story about my mother and her and this perfume. My mother wore this to work once, a couple of weeks ago. This is a woman who notoriously hates everything that she smells. The only thing she wears is Lauren by Ralph Lauren, which she's been wearing since high school, which is 40 years ago. Okay, so hates everything. I made her smell this, and she loved it. She loved it. She put it on at 7 o'clock in the morning before going to work, and 12 hours later, I could still smell her 3 or 4 feet away, standing next to her. Well, 3 or 4 feet away from her. It has longevity and projection that could really tame most other things in most collections, I think. I'm not privy to the information, but I think, like I said, X-ray concentration, pure parfum concentration, something like that. So, what do I get when I smell it? The website describes it as a spicy, fresh, warm, pungent, and complex scent. And I have to say, I kind of disagree with fresh and spicy, but the other adjectives seem to be a really good fit. To me, more than anything else, this is an animalic, musky white floral with sort of fruity top notes that raspberry and mango sort of come through. But they're very ephemeral, so you can't really call it fruity per se, because that aspect of the fragrance doesn't last too long, at least not for me. So then you start to move into the carnation and the geranium and the lily of the valley, and they all come together to create this sort of intoxicating white floral accord. This is all bolstered by a musk-dominant heart and base, and in the dry down, you get this slightly soapy and less pungent smell, but even the animalic notes and the musk are still going strong as they were at the top. I think the pungency and the animalic drive behind the smell might be due to the cassis or the black currant, which is sort of notorious for like a faintly urinous accord or note. I don't really find that there, but I do get animalic and musky. While I usually shy away from gender assignations for scent, this, I want to say up front, is a more feminine scent, as you can probably tell by the note breakdown, than most men will want to wear. Of course, you should wear anything that you love. I always encourage wearing anything that you love, but most men just casually looking around for a fragrance aren't going to be drawn to something this floral or perhaps maybe this musky. It certainly leans them. So, considering how much you need to apply, which is not much. Let's see which one is it. It's the other one. Okay, I've worn it about 2 or 3 times all day just to see how it progresses on my skin, and you can see how much of a dent I've put in it. So, I still have 90% of the sample left. Okay, so that will give you some idea of how much you need. Considering, let's say, price, how much does it cost? These come in smaller bottles because you don't need much because they're extremely concentrated. So you get 0.4 ounces. They come in either 0.4 or 0.2 ounces. This one comes in 0.4, which is 12 mils. It costs you right at 52 English pounds or 132 English dollars. American dollars. This is fragrance that you should apply, I think, with a very, very light touch. Just sort of dab it up and down your arms or wipe it behind your ears, and then sort of adjust your application accordingly if you think it's too strong or too light. Like I said, after 2 or 3 wearings, I still have 90% of my sample left, so you do the math on how long a full bottle would last you. Probably years. Okay, probably years. I get the impression that the perfumer, going back to the smell, was flirting with perfumes made a long time ago. or at least the idea of perfumes made a long time ago, sort of when the art of perfumery was not as moribund as it can seem today. It seems reminiscent to me of the great and the outrageous Guerlains of 100 years ago, Val de Nuit, Le Bleu, and Nehema isn't 100 years old, but Nehema as well. This isn't to say that Odd Rush smells like any of these, but I'm hinting at more of a time in perfumery when the scent you wore told a story about you, as opposed to the sort of anonymous, watery odes and scent waters that wearers are kind of obsessed with today. We've forgotten what perfumery used to be. In fact, there's an old saying about Shalimar, which I think could probably apply to Odd Rush as well. There are 3 things a lady doesn't do. She doesn't smoke, she doesn't dance the tango, and she doesn't wear Shalimar. Odd Rush is that kind of scent that you want to throw caution to the wind and sort of shamelessly assert yourself, or assert your sort of love of life, your joie de vivre. And it's not for shrinking violets. It's a shame that this house, so bold in its approach to perfumery, hasn't gotten the attention that it needs and that it deserves in the American market. Maybe it will start to get some more. I want to post this review in the fragrance forums on Facebook and see if anyone is interested. As always, I'll put the website in the drop-down box, and you can feel free to contact Signature Fragrances if you wish. After this, I'll come at you with one more review from Signature Fragrances of a men's scent, which I enjoyed as well. And I'll see you then.